Hello, welcome back to my channel Lomzy Sews. In today's sewing tutorial, I will show you how to cut and sew this luxury short bubu gown style. It's a very simple tutorial, just pay attention. To cut this, I'm going to use 2.5 yards of Mikado fabric. You can use damask for this. Mikado is not a best material for this because of the design on the sleeve. So first thing I like to do is to take the length of the dress. So the length of the dress I'm using is 39 inches. I would fold that into 2. So I have my lengthwise folded into 2. I'm going to fold it again into 4. So here I am folding it into 4, as you can see. So first lengthwise and then widthwise. So what I have here is 4 pieces on fold, as you can see. Make sure to add hemming allowance to your dress. So from here, the widthwise I have 22.5 inches. And first thing I'm going to do is to mark the neck width. I'm using 2.5 inches, and the neck depth for the back is 1/2 inch. And then the neck depth for the front I'm using 3 inches. So I have here 2.5 inches by 3 inches for the front and 1/2 inch for the back. Next, I'm going to take the armhole length. So from the shoulder, I will come down 13 inches and mark it. I'll mark this, I'll square this out so that I'll be able to mark the circumference of the bubu gown. So this is the only line we need. Next, we are going to divide the bust divided by 4. So my bust is 43 inches divided by 4. I'll place it here. And I'm going to add 2.5 inches for ease and 1/2 inch joining allowance. So whatever I have here, I'm going to square it all the way down to the hemline. Remember to add hemming allowance to the lengthwise when you are taking your lengthwise measurement. So I'm going to go ahead and square this all the way to the hemline. And this bubu gown is almost ready. Next, I'm going to come down 3 inches for that armhole and curve it out like this to give it a dolman sleeve shape. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out. Mikado fabrics are always very thick when they are in fall, so I'm going to be cutting them step by step. So next, I'm going to cut out the neckline, separate the front and the back, and cut out the front like you see me do. So I'm going to be facing this, making a facing for the neckline. I'm not using bias. I'm making a facing so that it will come out very neat. So I'm going to cut, I'm trimming off this very well. I'm going to cut pieces like this and insert it here for me to cut out the facing. So just align it properly and cut out the neckline. I'm going to interface this. So after cutting this, I'm going to go to my ironing table and interface that. And this is it after I was done adding the gum stay. I use paper gum stay. You can use hair stay for this. So next thing I'm going to do after pinning this is to sew 1/2 inch all around like this. And then I'm going to mark the length of the slit in front. I want it to be 5 inches. I'm going to sew all around. So let's go to the machine and sew this. So I'm just sewing away 1/2 inch. Watch how I'm going to sew the slit in front. So I'm going to give a little Y here at the center so that that slit will relax properly. Next, I'm going to understitch this. So I'm only understitching the neckline. I'm not going to understitch the slit in front there. you can't even access that, so I'm not going to do that. So just watch the way I'm going to just neatly sew this. So this is how I sew my neckline with slits. Next thing, I'm going to make sure I iron this. This is it after ironing it. Next, we are going to the design on the sleeve. So I have here my paper gum stay. I'm going to make a crease here to make a triangle. I'm going to start drawing a straight line like this. So just watch the way I'm going to draw out all the lines. Take note of everything. You can decide to reduce the ruler you use. If you want the cubes to be smaller, then use a smaller ruler that has a smaller width. So just watch how I'm going to do this. So after marking all these lines, take note of the ones that I'm marking. These ones I'm marking now are the ones I'm going to cut out. So just see the way I'm cutting them. I'm just jumping one line and marking the next one, if you notice. So just follow my hand the way I'm jumping it and marking the ones I'm going to cut open when I'm making the design. So this is it. I'll go ahead and interface this on my fabric. This is it. After doing that, I'll go ahead and cut this, make a notch to get to that angle, as you can see. Don't pass the sharp end. Make sure not to pass that sharp end. So after cutting it like this, you're going to use any type of gum. I'm going to be using this gum to, hold it down, but if you have another fabric gum, you can use that. So I'll continue closing all these places that I have cut out. So just continue to close them the way you see me doing. To make this design is very simple, but make sure before you do this, you practice this on your pattern paper. Then after I was done, this is how it's looking. Can you see? Then the next thing I'm going to do is to go into the ones inside. So I'm just going to cut open the center like this. I'll still do the same thing. I'm going to cut it towards the sharp corner like you see me doing. So just cut open all the 4 corners. You do that to all of them that you have marked, and you're going to use your gum and hold it down just the way we did in the previous one. So I'll go ahead and use my gum to hold all of this down. This is it after holding it down, and this is the front. Next thing you need to do to cover up the raw edges is to laminate organza on this space. Just cut out the one that is here and cover up these raw edges. All you need to do after laminating it is use soldering iron and cut it off at the boxes, both the one in front, but if you want to leave it, is up to you. So I don't have organza that is that same color. For me now, next thing I'm going to do is to close the side seam. I'm still going to cover up the raw edges with an organza when I get the same color. So I'll go to my machine now and I'm going to sew away 1/2 inch joining allowance and hem the lower part. So guys, we have come to the end of today's sewing tutorial. Let me know if this was helpful and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.